visiting door to door, witnessing the truth firsthand. This is the heart of the village. Gammetta, for the people, by the people.
Almost 55 days, less than 55 days for the elections. What are the going-ons in the country? To know about these details and more, you're watching Lunchtime News on TV1, bringing you the news from the news desk. I am Sandro Satyajit. First, your headlines.
2 people, including a police STF sergeant, murdered in Giriulla. 8 dead in motor accidents over the past 24 hours. 2 children among the deceased. 43rd Brigade and Lanka Freedom Party to jointly contest the upcoming local government election. Will the SLFP contest under the symbol of the helicopter? Decision today. Nepal announces day of mourning as recovery efforts start following fatal plane crash.
And now to your news in detail. A dual homicide took place last night in Udiavilla, Giriulla.
Crime Watch.
According to the police, 2 people have been stabbed to death following a dispute between 2 parties. The victims were 39 and 41-year-old residents of Tambadenia. One of the deceased is a sergeant attached to the police special task force.
When he was with a friend, a group had tried to attack his friend. When he tried to protect his friend, they had stabbed him as well. He had died while they were taking him to hospital. The attackers had come in one bike. That bike is there.
2 suspects have been arrested by the police in connection to the incident. 1 person was injured following a shooting that took place in Kumbuka along the Horana Road in Piliandala. Police said the victim has sustained injuries to his neck following the shooting that had taken place around 12:30 this morning. The victim is a 36-year-old and has been admitted to the Horana hospital for treatment. Police have commenced an investigation into the incident to arrest suspects.
Crime Watch.
8 people died in multiple motor accidents within a 24 hours window. Among the dead were children. 1 person died and another was seriously injured in a motor accident at the Himbutugol-Lever junction on the Anuradhapura-Galimbindru main road. Sri Lanka police said the accident took place when a tipper truck attempted to turn into a by-road and collided with a motorcycle. The deceased was a 24-year-old male from the Galimbindru 21st settlement. The injured is being treated at the Anuradhapura Teaching Hospital for his injuries. Sri Lanka police said that the driver of the tipper truck was arrested. 1 person also died when a pickup truck collided with a motorcycle in Hammepia on the Baddegama-Naguda main road. The deceased was identified as a 31-year-old man from Baddegama. The driver of the pickup truck was arrested. A house was severely damaged after a lorry crashed into it in Vallimada. No one was injured following the accident. Hindu devotees across the world celebrate Mattu Pongal today, a day dedicated to show gratitude.
Patti Pongal is devoted to the worship of cows and it is celebrated on the 16th of January. Farm animals like cows and oxen are honoured on this day since they enable farmers to successfully grow and harvest their crops. Accordingly, Hindu devotees decorate their homes with colorful patterns and boil milk, and thereafter follow the tradition of bathing the cattle and placing garlands on them. Pongal is celebrated with the participation of all members of the family.
Will elections be held before the 10th of March 2023? 54 days more.
Now to a news regarding the election that is closing by. The 43rd Brigade, led by Partili Champika Ranavaka, and the Navalanka Nidahas Party, led by Kumara Velgama, signed an agreement today. The agreement was signed to jointly contest the upcoming local government elections. The National Executive Council, meanwhile, of the newly formed Freedom People's Alliance will meet today. The Freedom People's Alliance will contest the upcoming local government election under the symbol of the helicopter, and it also includes 12 political parties and groups. Now, the executive member Veerasumana Veerasinghe said the National Executive Council of the FPA will meet to discuss the nomination lists, among other matters related to the upcoming election.
We have completed the preliminary work relating to the 25 electoral districts. We are working on preparing nominations, which is the next stage. Matters that cannot be discussed among the parties at district level should be submitted to the National Executive Council. Therefore, the National Executive Council will meet today and discuss future plans.
The Sri Lanka Freedom Party is one of the major parties in the newly formed Freedom People's Alliance, and its General Secretary Dayasiri Jayasekara told Newsfirst that a final decision on the SLFP contesting under the symbol of the helicopter will be reached today. The political committee of the SLFP had met at the party chairman Maithripala Sirisena's official residence on Sunday to discuss the matter. Samantha Vidyaratna expressed his views on the current situation in the country while attending the Kamburupitiya Constituency Conference of the National People's Power.
Currently, there are only two houses in Sri Lanka. One is a green house, the other is blue. This has been going on for 75 years. The two houses are now abandoned. There is a commotion within these houses. Pots are being broken. Some people removed the poles they took to build the house and build smaller houses. They are like playhouses. Maithripala is building a house. These people are building another. The roof of the house called the SLPP has fallen off. Mahinda cannot even limp. Gotabaya also cannot limp. The roof is about to fall. 6.9 million are no longer there as they are afraid the roof will collapse on them. Those people hastily brought a dilapidated prop and fixed it onto the roof. That prop is Ranil Rajapaksa. This prop seems to think that he can hold the roof up. The flower bud is now done for. We are ready to show how strong their prop really is in March.
The SLPP revealed plans for the upcoming local government elections during a media briefing organized in Colombo today. Speaking at the media briefing, attorney Sagara Karivasam, the General Secretary of the SLPP, said the opposition against the SLPP was only a superficial one and not something that emerged from within society. He said the people are now realizing that it was merely a facade. Commenting on preparations for the local government election, he said the SLPP will contest under the UNP for certain local government bodies and include their candidates to the UNP list, whereas for other local government bodies, they will contest under the SLPP logo and add UNP candidates to their list. He added there will be instances where the two parties will contest separately as well, with a certain understanding. Multiple political parties placed cash bonds for the upcoming local government election today, while signatures for nominations were obtained at several locations as well. Cash bonds for the Kalutara district on behalf of the Samagi Jana Balavege were placed today, headed by the leader of the Kalutara district for the SJB, Ajit P. Pereira.
ආණ්ඩුව ඡන්දෙ තියන්න වෙනවා. අපි ඉගෙන ගත්ත නීතියට අනුව ඡන්දෙ තියන්න වෙනවා. රටේ ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථාවට අනුව
The government will be compelled to hold elections. According to the law we know, the election will have to be held and it cannot be prevented even by law. But it can be done unlawfully. We believe the elections must be held.
මේ මැතිවරණය අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම පැවැත්වෙනවා. අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම පැවැත්විය යුතුයි.
Local government candidates of the Samagi Jana Balawege representing the Matharu district signed nominations for 17 local government bodies today.
Is there a UNP anymore? The UNPP SLPP union is like one lavatory meeting another. It isn't a pleasant combination. Anyone can feel free to use either of the lavatories. There is no UNP today. It is only a mirage.
Local government candidates of the Samagi Jana Balawege for the Kegol district signed nominations earlier today. SJB leader for the Kegol district parliamentarian Kabir Hashim was present at the occasion. Candidates representing the Sri Lanka Freedom Party signed nominations for local government bodies in the Kandy district this morning, headed by its Deputy General Secretary Minister Sarath Ekanayaka. A case filed against former Minister Mahindananda Alutkamage by the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption was taken up in the presence of Colombo High Court Judge Navaratna Marasinghe on Monday. The case was filed against Alutkamage over the purchase of a luxury property located down Kinsey Road, Borella, using 27.4 million rupees in unlawfully generated funds. Examination of the case was postponed to the 20th of March 2023. The 53rd witness from the prosecution was advised by the court to appear again on the 20th of March 2023. Moving on to some other local news, the Batalagoda Paddy Research and Development Institute says that research teams have commenced field visits in areas where the yellow spot disease has spread across paddy cultivations. Now, its director Janta Senanayaka said that the farmers will be educated on the remedies for the problems identified during the visits.
This Maha season, the yellow spot disease was reported from many districts when paddy crops were only 2 months old. Today, farmers in many districts around the island explain the damage it has caused to their crops. Farmers say that a large number of acres in Kavantissapura Seruvilla belonging to the Alla farming colony are being destroyed. Farmers point out that many expensive agrochemicals are being used on it, but to no avail.
මේකට හේතුව අපි දන්නේ නැහැ කුරියන් සේවකේ මේකට උත්තරයක් දෙන්නෙත් නැහැ. ඉතින් ගහන්න තෙලුත් නැහැ සමහර අය ඕන තෙල් ගහලා දැන් එකක් විනාශ වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. කවදාකවත් මේ ලෙඩේ ඇරුන්නේ නැහැ.
This is the fate of paddy lands cultivated in the Huruluwewa farming movement in Galenbindunuwewa. Farmers point out that a large number of paddy fields have been affected by this disease. A group of officials visited the farmers to investigate these conditions.
කොමාරි දැන්ට මට ලක්ෂ 3ක් විතර ගිහින් තියෙනවා අක්කර දෙකට. මොකද කරන්නේ ඉතින් කරන්න දෙයක් නැහැ.
In the meantime, the collective of Ruhunurata farmers organizations had called a press conference in Gaul to explain the current situation.
The elephants told us that substandard fertilizer are useless. A bigger harvest is expected in the Maha season. Now all the crops have started yellowing. The officials do not even know how to get rid of this disease. Those who bought fertilizer and had to buy it at high prices should be compensated for this.
The All Ceylon Farmers Federation commented on the growing concerns over the yellow spot disease during a media briefing.
දැන් ආණ්ඩුව සොයා බලන්නේ නැතුව ආණ්ඩුවට වැඩ කරපු පෝස්ටර් අලවපු කැන්වසින් ගියපු පාදයන්ට
Without any sort of oversight, the government allowed their aides to produce organic fertilizer. They used any and every piece of dirt to produce that fertilizer. We're now seeing the ill effects of it across paddy lands and other cultivations alike. They have destroyed national agriculture by attempting to do what they cannot. Everyone, including Gotabaya Rajapaksa, should be held accountable for this.
සම්පූර්ණ මේ වගාව විනාශ වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. දන්නේ නැති කුසිකර්මාන්තයක් කරන්න ගිහිල්ලා රටේ කුසිකර්මාන්තේ සම්පූර්ණ විනාශ වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. ගෝඨාභය රාජපක්ෂගෙන් ඉඳලා වග කියන්න ඕන මේ මහ පොළොවට කරපු විනාශය.
The shortage of medicines is an issue that has affected Sri Lankans across the island. Now, the Foundation for Saving Kidney Patients points out that kidney patients are facing a serious problem due to the existing shortage of medicines. Now, they said this at a media conference held in Anuradhapura today.
They tell us to buy medicines from pharmacies. This is a very sad situation. No one can afford to buy medicines at such a high price. The hospital doesn't have the medicines we need. We don't have the money to buy them from pharmacies. We cannot even afford to travel by bus. If this goes on, kidney patients would die inside their homes within a month. Around 4 people in our village died due to kidney failure within the past year. Patients are being transferred from their nearest hospitals to the Srilankanbeauty base hospital and to the Kakirava base hospital. Because we cannot get the necessary treatment from either place, we end up in the Anuradhapura teaching hospital. It is difficult to think that we get all the necessary treatments because there's a shortage of medicines and vaccinations. Sometimes we go back home empty-handed. When they give us another date, sometimes people find it difficult to go back due to travel expenses. Kidney patients are rendered helpless because of this.
In very tragic news overseas, Nepal began a day of mourning today as rescue workers resumed the search for missing people a day after a plane crashed into a gorge while attempting to land at a newly opened airport. Now, the incident killed at least 68 of the 72 people aboard in the country's deadliest airplane accident in 3 decades. Now, 2 more bodies have been found since this morning. Footage by a passenger has been released showing few moments before the fatal plane crash. Moving on to other news overseas, former top UN officials say Myanmar's military is producing a vast range of weapons to use against its own people, thanks to supplies from companies in at least 13 countries.
The US, France, India and Japan are among those named despite Western-led sanctions intended to isolate Myanmar. The report says the home-produced arms are used to carry out atrocities against those who oppose the military. Myanmar has been engulfed in violence since a February 2021 military coup. Opponents of the coup, which ousted the elected government, have joined ethnic rebel groups in resisting military rule. According to foreign media reports, the Special Advisory Council on Myanmar's report notes that several UN member states continue to sell weapons to the military. It says, quote, an equally important factor, however, is the fact that Myanmar's armed forces can produce in-country a variety of weapons that are being used to target civilians, end quote.
Going on to stories in Ukraine, at least 30 were killed after a Russian attack, as mayor of the Ukrainian city says there is little hope of finding more survivors.
Ukrainian authorities say there's little hope of rescuing any more survivors from the rubble of a collapsed apartment block in the city of Dnipro a day after it was hit by Russian missiles, with dozens of people expected to have been killed. According to foreign media, the regional governor's advisor said 30 people were confirmed dead so far and more than 30 were in hospital, including 12 in serious condition. Between 30 and 40 people could still be trapped under debris. Emergency workers said they heard people screaming for help from underneath the rubble of the 9-story apartment block in the city in east-central Ukraine. The workers used moments of silence to direct their rescue efforts, but freezing temperatures added to rescue concerns.
That's all the news for now. Await the brief at 30 throughout the evening, bringing you the news from the news desk. I am Sandro Satyajit. Take care.
At the Ketien, at the Radiate, Cyber Avakashe Kalabana, Wat Salakuna. News First YouTube channel අදම subscribe කරන්න. News First ජනතාව සමග.
News First News Alert ඔබේ ජංගම දුරකථනයටත් ඔබ ඩයලොග් පාරිභෝගිකයෙක් නම් English Alert සේවාව ලබා ගැනීමට NFU ලෙසත් Singlish Alert සේවාව ලබා ගැනීමට NUS ලෙසත් Tanglish Alert සේවාව ලබා ගැනීමට NAT ලෙසත් ටයිප් කර IC78ට send කරන්න. News First ජනතාව